Aloha, it's Wednesday, July 31st, 2 days after Tropical Storm Flossie came through the Hawaiian Islands. What I'm going to show you today is how Flossie was engineered. It was not a totally natural tropical storm. It was engineered by Geo-Engineers using what we are terming chem bombs, aerosol explosions, the new generation from chemtrails. And I'm going to show you from the satellite imagery exactly how that happened. So what we're seeing here is this is a tropical storm in this zone right here coming toward us the day before, and the red indicates extreme temperature or extreme in reflectivity. An infrared scan, infrared imagery seeing things as temperature or reflectivity, and you can see from the scale here below where it goes yellow, blue, red is the most intense and green is extremely intense. Normally on this funk top infrared system, it was used for tracking the eyes of hurricanes. You'd only see the red color in the eye of a hurricane. So let's go through these. Each step is a half an hour. So each click that I'm doing right here is a half-hour movement in time. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner the universal time. We're 10 hours earlier than universal time. So there's Flossie moving toward us. You can see this red spot right here as a big circle followed, and it's streaming toward Hawaii. And what you see happening here is Flossie sort of expands for a moment, and then before it gets there, it sort of breaks up and turns into not very much. And you can see how it sort of disintegrated. It wasn't much of a tropical storm. And then all of a sudden, and it gets close, we see something magical happen. It hits Big Island, and just north of Big Island you can see this big circular, looks like an explosion, where suddenly it got absolutely huge, covers half the Hawaiian island chain as a giant thing. Another one happens there, and it moves right on through Hawaii. Let me back that up again so you can see that. Flossie comes, hits Big Island, and then suddenly just north of Big Island, a huge explosion goes in all circles, even against the wind. It blows in all directions at the same time. Expands really big, goes across the Hawaiian island chain. Now next I want to take you to a close-up. Here's a funk top image of a close-up of the Hawaiian island chains. Again, you can see Tropical Storm Flossie. You can see what appears to be an aerosol explosion in the middle of it, the point that I started the screen capture for this. And then you watch it get big, and then you watch it as it blows up and then disintegrates. And I missed a few of the screenshots because I have to catch them one at a time on the thing. And then we go forward again in time, and you'll see just north of Big Island, this area right here, north of Big Island, big explosion. Now watch that go out in all directions, even though the wind is carrying it to the west. The explosion happens in all directions and expands. And you can see right here the center of the explosion, and this is what I'm calling a chem bomb or an aerial aerosol explosion. And it's obvious on this exactly how that was done. Now watch what happens step by step as I go forward. There it is in universal time down here. 3 o'clock universal time is the same as 5 o'clock Hawaii time because we're 10 hours earlier than universal time. So that was at 5 o'clock when the eye of the explosion reaches the north shore of Maui and causes the intense winds in one little cell of intensity in the green. Again, normally here green is the most intense of the colors in the spectrum, and the funk top was created to watch the eyes of hurricanes. You'd normally only see those colors there. So we're going to go forward again. You see it continue to expand as it moves across Maui every half-hour step. And it moves over Molokai. And as it approaches Oahu, kaboom! Down below you see another explosion south of Oahu. And you watch that expand out of nowhere with no things supporting afterwards. And then that disintegrates. So let's look at this from some other points of view, other sorts of imagery. This is the RGB infrared imagery. It is another color-enhanced version of infrared imagery. What's nice here is you can see the tropospheric, the lower normal clouds in the light gray, and you can see the results of the aerosols, the highly reflective aluminum, barium, and strontium in the chem bomb aerosol explosions right here. And when you play it forward on this one, you see where they have a little explosion off there to feed it. But now this is where daytime happens. In a daytime, the normal clouds turn yellow. So everything in yellow is your normal low-level clouds, and what's in white is the highly reflective aerosol clouds. What's interesting here is you can see a swirl right here in this one, where the actual tropical storm eye is up here, but here's the aerosol explosion down here. If we keep going forward, and you'll see what happens is the eye of the hurricane up here actually drifts off north of the islands, completely misses the island. It's the eye of the tropical storm here. And they have to actually generate something down below. Now you notice the eye of the tropical storm up here actually dissipates when it hits the big island. That's when they do the big aerosol explosion north, and you see how it's completely disjuncted from the normal cloud layer and a completely different creation. Now we go back into nighttime where it's covering all the central islands, and you'll see right here the second aerosol explosion south of Oahu going off. And when you see it dissipate, you'll see the stringy, gooey, cotton candy looking type of clouds. It's indicative of aerosol clouds that we know about from the chemtrails. This is a visual imagery right here. It shows visible light, so you can see all the clouds. You see there's hardly any tropical storm cell around it. There's no supporting cloud layer or anything that would create it. This is the point of when it hit the big island, and I started saving these screenshots. And here you can see, just north of Big Island, the explosion blowing out in all directions, getting really big, coming out of absolutely nowhere. Now it's nightfall, and you can see how it's covering the islands. And now it's actually a partial infrared imagery. You see the second explosion to the south, and you see it dissipate. But what you don't see is you don't see a lot of contributing cloud layer around it. Now let's look at the water vapor images. So this is a water vapor image of the Hawaiian Islands. Again, you can see the color scheme at the bottom where the purple and blue and purple are the most intense system of water vapor. You notice that around the tropical storm there's very little water vapor. So let's start it back at the beginning. This is again at the point where the storm hit the Big Island. And you'll see just north of the Big Island with no supporting storms around it to create such an explosion. An intensely bright creation of water vapor is created out of nothing. From the aerosol explosion, you see the eye of that moving across. You see how intense it is. It's the most intense there in the center, which is basically the eye of a hurricane that they created. And then you see a second one forming just south of Oahu, and then starts to dissipate. Okay, let's play this at high speed, looking at the whole region, because I want to show you something not only going on here in Hawaii, but also on the mainland. There, let's back it up. Just at the moment that Flossie's hitting Big Island, look over here in Oklahoma. Eastern Oklahoma. You'll see an aerosol explosion right there. Now, watch what happens at the same moment. I'm going to go forward and boom, half hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. Look what happens between that half hour there and another half hour later. Instantly, within a half hour, you got a storm the size of a whole state taking over Oklahoma and Kansas and northern Oklahoma. And that happens at the same time that Flossie over there in Hawaii is also going off and doing its storm. Interesting, same moment. You also see what's happening in Texas and northern Mexico. This has been going off quite a bit this summer. So moving it forward, you can see the same green, the same eye of a hurricane. They're probably having terrible winds and storms there at the same moment. And there it dissipates as quickly as it forms. I mean, cut me some slack, guys. That's not natural weather. And what's the story with all the lightning that's happening? Lightning that never used to happen on Maui 10 years ago, rare. And now with the storms, we're having incredible lightning storms. What it is the aluminum, barium, and strontium in nano-sized particles are highly ionic, highly charged. So they electrify the clouds, creating the seeding area for lightning that we've never seen before in Hawaii. So when you see these lightning storms, it's a good indication that it's not a natural storm. So what can we conclude from this? What I am perceiving, every time I see these aerosol explosions happening and they fly over the Hawaiian Islands, I'm seeing aerosol clouds, the sticky, gooey, stringy, cotton candy looking clouds. This is unnatural because you would never expect a sudden explosion like this going out in all directions to be half the size of the Hawaiian Islands and it appear within an hour and a half's time. That is not a natural cloud formation. So this is how the tropical storm, which really wasn't a tropical storm but was engineered, was created. So this is Bruce Douglas speaking for Maui Skywatch. If you'd like to find out more, go to mauiskywatch.org, and there's a half-hour video which explains the whole chem bomb aerosol explosion process from the nationwide chemtrail conference called Consciousness Beyond Chemtrails. Thank you very much for listening. Hui hou.